Hello humans and welcome. I'm Rock99 and today I'm here for you with another part of my Kung Fu Panda franchise review. I was supposed to release this part earlier, but thankfully I waited because if I hadn't noticed the release of the third season of the last Kung Fu Panda series, this video would have been very different. But enough with the intro, let's start already. After the third movie, two more TV animated series were released, The Paws of Destiny and The Dragon Knight. When I started The Paws of Destiny, I was scared. After the experience with The Legend of Awesomeness, I was really worried about what they could have come up with this time. But against all my prejudices, The Paws of Destiny is good. I actually liked it. Aside from the fact that Kung Fu here became a magic system that really has little to do with Chinese martial arts, the series is really good. It is a sequel of the third movie, and the first thing I really appreciated is that they actually moved the attention from Po to new younger protagonists, for little pandas who accidentally absorbed the chi of the legendary Constellation Masters. It is true that Po is the main character of the franchise, and of course you might expect him to be the protagonist here too. But because by the end of Kung Fu Panda 3 he had reached the point where he really has nothing else to learn, it makes sense for him to become a supporting character for the new protagonists. Speaking in terms of story structure and character archetypes, from the hero of the story, he became the mentor, who in fact becomes the master of the four little pandas, who now have to learn to control their chi and face the consequences of carrying such power. There are some of the characters from the previous media like Mr. Ping and Li Shan, but Master Shifu and the Furious Five are nowhere to be found, and even if that saddened me a little at first, it actually makes sense, because those were characters that had to support Po during his journey, so they really couldn't have done much here. The series is divided in two parts, and the first one has one hell of a villain, because I didn't expect a villain like this in a modern TV series for kids. The villain is the former dragon warrior Jin Dao, who had become the enemy of the Constellation Masters, and he really is the embodiment of evil. Now, I wouldn't say that Jin Dao is on the same level of Lord Shen. Shen was a character way deeper, with deeper motives and a side you could empathize with, and that made him very scary, but Jin Dao probably surpassed him in wickedness. Even if there's nothing that graphic in the series, this villain is seen extracting chi with force, manipulating and willing to harm the protagonists, even if they are kids. I totally didn't expect that. This villain really creates suspense and drama in the series, and really makes you worry for the characters who have to face him. On top of this, the story is very enjoyable. You see all the characters developing, there's also a good build-up for the villain's assistant redemption, and the giant guardian spider is just adorable. On the other hand, Part 2 plot isn't as strong as the first one, mostly because the attention wasn't entirely focused on the four protagonists, and the main villain actually appears at the very end of the story. But here there are new interesting characters, and I liked how they made references to Chinese mythology, introducing Sun Wukong, the white bone spirit, and the conflict between them. At last we have Kung Fu Panda the Dragon Knight. I made a short about it months ago while I was watching the first season, and that really suggested that I wasn't liking it at all. But now I'm thankful I had to wait for this last part of the review, because I admit I was wrong about a lot of things. I also admit that when I watched the season 1, I had already built up prejudices because of the trailer. It suggested that it was going to be one of those new media for big established franchises with the only purpose to introduce this strong and independent woman that has to replace the known male protagonist. Don't get me wrong. Like I said already in another review, I'm all for better representation of women in media, but characters like this had become just stereotypes, and considering that for the majority of the screen time they have to convince you that they are better than the previous characters, they end up usually doing more harm than good, at least in my opinion. And in fact, as someone who really likes Po in this story, I hated Luthera for the entire first season. I just couldn't stand watching this random British bear demonizing, humiliating and judging Po for everything he had worked so hard to be accepted for in the movies. You have no idea how that angered me. However, since I do care to be objective in my reviews, I watched both the second and the third season as well. And thank goodness I did. After enduring everything that happened in season 1, you can actually find out that the story as a whole is not that bad. It is very basic, it is the typical journey with treasure hunting, magic and villains that want the power to rule the world as they please. But it is nicely structured, and new characters are always introduced and developed. I found the main characters very interesting, and I really like how they selected the specific animals to represent the countries where the story takes place. But despite I've changed my opinion on the series, I still really don't like season 1, mostly because I'm biased, but also because I don't think it was necessary to destroy him like that at the beginning. After all, here too he plays a supporting role in the story, because Blade is the main character and the one who has to go on the hero journey. The series makes the mistake at the beginning to give too much attention to Poe, confusing the role of the characters and giving the public false expectations. After seeing that much focus on his character, you expect to follow him, but then the story follows Blade, while the character you identified as the protagonist becomes the typical comic relief. Another reason why I didn't like season 1 is because Blade is seen pursuing her goals even at the cost of abandoning the only one who was trying to help her, while causing trouble anywhere she went. It all with a questionable philosophy: between two evils you choose the less evil of them. At first it really seemed to me that the series was trying to make you like her, despite everything she did wrong, but I do admit I was probably misled by the prejudices I had because of the trailer. That's why I usually avoid seeing anything about a media before its release. The truth is, if you keep watching till the end of the season, you realize that the characters around her actually point out that her actions are not as noble as she may believe, and she ends up feeling guilty for what she has done. And if you continue with season 2, you can also realize that Blade calms down and she's more collaborative. So in season 2, her personal vendetta against Klaus and Veruca actually becomes the quest to collect the ancient weapons and destroy them to keep the world safe. But to be honest, when I watched season 2, my nerves were so crushed by the first one that it really bored me. I honestly didn't pay that much attention to it, also because it was all about the journey to find the weapons, and aside from some backstory, you didn't get anything new. Possessed Mr. Pink was funny though.
You leave my perfect son alone, you ancient bully!
Dad? Silence, weak and tiny goose, man!
Anyway, it was thanks to season 3 that I could change my mind and see things from a more objective point of view. Everything here comes together as our characters find out that the one who initiated everything was Blade's brother, because he was the one who was searching for the weapons in the first place. Not to destroy them, but for his twisted and hilarious plan.
With these weapons, I will fix what the ancient masters broke and bring the world back together. Pangea! No, come on!
Yes, that was a little absurd, but I admit that Humphrey's character really shocked me. He even killed more characters than Shen on screen. Humphrey keeps killing everybody. That was a very unexpected plot twist, to be honest, because until he was brought back from the dead, he has always been described as the noble one with all the good intentions and stuff. I was also surprised to see that the series actually leads you to his redemption at the end, along with the redemption of Klaus and Veruca. All of them receive their punishments for their actions, and they are seen accepting them. Klaus' redemption in particular was very interesting. I really liked the way they brought with a character like him the concept of finding inner peace, despite of his action and his past. I'll say it again, this Dragon Knight series is not bad, but you have to really keep an open mind to accept it at first. Because despite I admit it is not bad, I do think that it shouldn't have been in the Kung Fu Panda franchise in the first place. It is true that the series has been declared non-canon, but it is tough to see the character you've empathized with for so many years be treated like Poe in season 1. The author said that they had to bring him down because his character was complete in any possible way. But if you had to bring down a character and with him all the development he had for the entire franchise, why would you put their new story in their franchise in the first place? I truly believe that this series could have worked so well if it had nothing to do with Kung Fu Panda. I believe I could even like Blade if the series was just the Dragon Knight without Kung Fu Panda. Of course, though, it's not like you can just pretend that it is outside the franchise. It is there now, and it is more than comprehensible why fans may not accept it. I'm sure that they put this story in this franchise because we are living in a nostalgia era, where if you do something under the name of a big franchise, you're sure that there's gonna be fans coming to see what's new. But if they keep doing this, productions don't even give the chance to new stories and franchises to emerge. And if they keep forcing new stuff in the old one, they risk to ruin both of them. And we can all agree that we're done with the remakes and weird prequels and sequels nobody asked for. I really believe that productions should risk to try something new instead of risking to alienate their fans. So I would kindly ask productions to invest in new stories and leave the old franchises to rest in peace in our memories. Well, actually, I don't think it is wrong to keep them alive, but you need to do it smartly. For example, if it was up to me to keep the Kung Fu Panda franchise alive, I would continue the story with the protagonists of the Paws of Destiny. I think it's interesting to see the old protagonists train the new ones, so they can continue the story with new challenges and perspectives and to better represent the changes our society is going through. But it is what it is, and for now we're done with the Kung Fu Panda franchise, at least until the third movie is released next year. This time I'm really avoiding anything about it, so I have no idea what to expect. And so at this point I can just thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe for more, and let me know in the comments what you think. If you agree or disagree with what I said, or if there's something in particular you'd like to mention. And if you have anything, a medium, a franchise, or a video game you want me to review, just don't hesitate to tell me. I have a whole list of things I want to review, but if you have suggestions, I'll definitely give priority to them. Also because I have no idea what to review next. Theoretically speaking, with what I learned from my studies, I can also review songs, but I don't actually hold that much knowledge in music. I can just tell you why some K-pop music videos out there makes me want to commit crimes. Anyway, for more content, follow me on other socials too. You find the links in the description. Thank you again and see you soon. Bye!